What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another video. And before I even introduce myself, if this isn't a welcome back, I need to kind of talk about the allegations that have been unjustly thrust on my name. In last week's video where I read romance books for the first time, there was no introduction. There was no allegedly. And that has led people to believe that I know how to read definitively. And I'm just here to set the record straight. I am here to say once and for all that my name's Chris and I do know how to read. Allegedly though. Today we're going to do a reading vlog. We are going to go to a bookstore in downtown Winter Park, Florida. We are going to go to the movies and we are going to read the book that I just bought that is currently in the bag that is using to hold you up right now. So let's cut back to Chris from the past where we do a little fit check and then we go to the bookstore and we get all that done. So let's go. All right, so this is the fit that we're going to be going with, and this goes out to my roommate specifically. I know you're thinking, hey, is he using my mirror? No, I'm not. Prove it. But we got the hat on because I haven't given myself a haircut in a while. Random chain, a mirror that needs to be cleaned, a Carhartt shirt, Young LA pants, and then I have my shoes right here. Probably the best purchase I've ever made is these like heavy duty, like multi-terrain Vans. My roommate actually got a pair of these for herself for full price, and I love them so much. I thought about getting my own pair, but then I actually went to Ross and I found them for like 30 or 40 bucks. So I got them for a steal. But I think the vibe is today we are going to be going to this indie bookstore that's a little bit of ways away from my house, but there's also a movie theater next to the bookstore. So I think we're gonna go support a local business. We are going to maybe watch a movie depending if there's anything out, and then we're just gonna have like a story-filled day, if that makes sense. I've been trying to like deep dive into the act or the art of storytelling, if that makes sense, and that goes with me reading more science fiction and me reading romance for the first time if you haven't seen my last video, and again like with watching movies and playing like story-based video games and stuff like that. Like I'm really just trying to do my best to like experience someone's life through my eyes, right? Whether that's in a movie or a book or anything like that. My goal is to limit myself to one book because I don't have disposable income like that, but I also want to see if I can try and find maybe some merch or some sticker stuff, because of course I want a book, but I also want to try and support a local business as well. And again, I may or may not have used my roommate's mirror, but also roommate also left me half of a bottle of a non-named energy drink. Alani, if you want to throw me a bag, hit me up on Instagram at chrisreadsyt. I got you. And I know what you're thinking, Chris, sometimes energy drinks can leave like a weird taste in your mouth. One sec. Roommate also left me a half-drunken cup of water to wash it down with. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but I appreciate it nonetheless. All right, we're gonna chug these two drinks and then we're gonna hit the road. Let's go. All right, y'all, contrary to what you might hear or think, Florida summers are pretty rainy, which means it's just very humid all the time. And now just also happens to be the time, coincidentally, you know, this is just what the universe has for me, that my car AC does not work. So if I cut back to the next clip in this video and I'm sweaty because I was in this car for like an hour driving to this bookstore, I don't want to see any comments about it, okay? Because I'm sensitive. All right, y'all, so I remembered that one of the reasons I hate going out at all, that's a terrible angle. All right, y'all, so I remember that one of the reasons I hate going anywhere is having to worry about parking. Parking in any downtown area sucks. And I also parked in front of a random parking lot and not in front of the bookstore that we're going to because parking on the street gives me anxiety. So I think we have to go like a 5-minute walk that way to get to where we're going, and then we should be pretty good. Let's get to it.
Always had a way to make it work and find another route. Always had a way to make it work and find another route. Always had a way to make it work and find another route.
Y'all, I just saw a sign that said it's Memorial Day. I completely forgot. So I'm walking to this place. I'm like a 1 or 2 minute walk away. It might fully be closed. I hope it's not, but let's see. We made it. We made it. Y'all, that was actually terrible. And I'm not even talking about like the bookstore. Everyone in there was super nice. The music was perfect. The decor and the vibes were like off the top in the best way possible. But that took forever. I was looking for a book for like 45 minutes. That had me stressed. Like I went in there forgetting that I had a list of books that I could get. And then I started looking at the list and then realizing that I didn't even like half the books on the list. So then like I started overthinking it. But eventually I did come to a decision. And this is a book that I've been wanting for a pretty decent amount of time. And I actually think my roommate has a copy of it, but I just love this cover so much. I ended up getting a Macmillan Collector's Library edition of Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Look at that cover. I love this cover so much, and I'm very excited to read Frankenstein. I tried to read it a few years ago, and I think I made it like 20 or 30 pages in. I have a vague memory of reading it in high school, but I think the reason it's a vague memory is because I didn't actually read it, and I just said I did, and I like spark notes it. So I'm very excited to dive into classic literature. I almost went with like a memoir or a nonfiction like history book or something like that, but I wanted to go for a classic, and once I saw the cover, I was completely sold. And before the reading part of this reading vlog officially starts, I'm gonna get some food and I'm gonna go to the movies because your boy is starving and I need a cold room to sit in. Y'all, I don't know if you could tell, I'm a little sweaty. It's hot out. I wanted to film inside, but they had copyrighted music playing, and if I ever am able to monetize these videos, I don't want to get copyrighted. The people are out and about, and that's really nice. I forget, again, that it was a holiday, so kids aren't in school, families are out here, and it's kind of nice to get out of my boring apartment. You know, I don't really do a lot besides go to work and then stay in my apartment, so it's nice to get out and see people. I got food in front of me. I think I'm going to see the new Mission Impossible after this, which I've only seen like one other Mission Impossible, so I hope I can get the basic story, even though I haven't seen any of the movies. But I'm excited to read Frankenstein, bro. I really am, and that cover is so cool and so rad. And as I'm being more selective with the books that I buy, like I kind of want to get like cool covers and things that like look pretty. Like I'm thinking of The Shining first and foremost. Like I really enjoyed that book, 5-star book, my first Stephen King. I really liked it, but the cover that I have for The Shining I really don't like, and I think there are far better covers for it. So I think since I'm already pretty selective on the books that I buy, I want to try and be more selective with the covers that I buy as well, if that makes sense. And that's purely for me. Like I'm not even saying that from like I want people to think I have cool books perspective. I just want to have cool books. All right, y'all, so I didn't even think about this, but the movie theater's packed. And in order for me to not get a seat that's like on the front row, right in front of the screen, I have to wait like an hour and 10 minutes. So I just found there's like an open like hangout area in front of the movie theater. I'm gonna just start reading this now. This was not the plan, but I'm excited to hop into it. I got this book for $13.83, and I think for a classic, and especially one that has such a cool cover, I think I'm gonna make this my entire personality for the next week or so. It is hot outside, it's humid. Luckily the sun is covered by clouds, but it's just sticky. Like I just feel sticky. And I don't have a writing utensil, so I'm not gonna be able to annotate anything that I read. So I might just do like a very slow, casual read before my movie time, and then have some actual like highlighting, in-depth analysis reading when I get home tonight. But let's try and find a much more comfortable chair than the one I'm in this closed down restaurant, and then let's get to reading.
Many hours later.
I know Tom Cruise a little weird, but that man can make a movie. Yeah, damn.
One day later.
All right, y'all, good morning. Unfortunately, it has been a few days since I have last talked to y'all. Life just got a little hectic and I wasn't able to read this cute little book right here, but I was able to read a few pages last night, and I already highlighted some stuff, so I wanted to talk about it. So for those of y'all who haven't read Frankenstein before, it starts out as a series of letters between this guy named R. Walton and his sister, as he's detailing this kind of journey that he's about to embark on to the North Pole, just to find out what the hell is up there, you know? And again, I'm not very far into this book. I'm only on the 4th letter, which is page 28, so I'm not too far at all. But I have already highlighted some stuff. One of the first things I highlighted is when he's talking about going to the North Pole and like all the things he expects to see up there. And one of the things he mentions is that the sun never sets in the North Pole. It's always on some edge of the horizon. And R. Walton says, "What may not be expected in a country of eternal light." I thought that was a great quote. And as he's talking about this journey that he's about to embark on, and this journey that he's had like on his mind for his entire life, or most of his life at this point, he says, "For nothing contributes so much to tranquilize the mind as a steady purpose, a point on which the soul may fix its intellectual eye." And I'm gonna say it, I connected with our boy Walton. I feel like that's why I live a lot of my life a lot, just a series of goals that I have set. And having a goal is always so much more like invigorating and just like entertaining to survive your everyday boring life, as long as you have like a goal in mind. On that note, he says, my life might have been passed in ease and luxury, but I preferred glory to every enticement that wealth placed in my path. And just this whole like introduction of R. Walton being so like dead set on going to the North Pole. I think I wrote it down on a future page. Let me see. Where is it? Such a cool intro. Such a cool intro to this book. This guy has a journey that he's about to go on, and he's so hype about it. In talking with his sister, he also says, I shall commit my thoughts to paper, it is true, but that is a poor medium for the communication of feeling. He's talking about how he just like doesn't have a friend on this journey. Like he has a boat and he has people he trusts, and he's got people working on the ship that is going up to the North Pole that are very brave and very courageous. But he's like, I don't have a homie. And I need a home. And then I believe the last thing I highlighted last night was one of the last pages I read, which said, what can stop the determined heart and resolved will of man? So far, R. Walton, dope dude. But that said, I am only 28 pages or whatever I said into this book. I did remove the bookmark, and that's my bad. And I'm happy that I'm reading this now. I feel like if I read this in high school, I probably wouldn't have like even cared to underline anything. But I just got home from the gym. I'm about to eat breakfast. I got coffee on the stove right now. I'll talk to y'all when I get a few more pages done. Hello. All right, y'all, I have made it to chapter 10, page 113 of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, out of 265 pages, so a little bit less than halfway there. I'm not sure if I said this in the previous clip, but essentially our boy R. Walton finds this like straggler in like the Antarctic like ice sheets who's on like a dog sled, who's going after someone. They see someone, they're like, it might have been a mirage, and then they see this person who like they are able to convince to come onto R. Walton's ship. And this is Victor Frankenstein. This is the Dr. Frankenstein. And I think it's called a framed narrative or a framed story, but essentially this entire book is Frankenstein retelling his life story to R. Walton, who's like taking notes, essentially writing the story as he's somewhat interviewing Frankenstein. And Frankenstein's essentially doing all of this, telling him his life story as like a thank you for giving me safe harbor in this like harsh winter weather. But this book is so good, and I did not expect or remember it being this good. It is, I think it says in the preface that this is like the first horror novel, or like one of the first horror novels when it was published in the 1800s. And while there hasn't been anything that I've been horrified to read, like all of this book reminds me of the very best parts of The Shining by Stephen King. It's just creepy. Like this book is overall just creepy vibes. And I think that we as consumers have kind of been misled when it comes to the tale of Frankenstein, because the actual creation of this like able-bodied, free-thinking human, if you want to call them that, this creation, this monster, is maybe 100 words in this book. Maybe 2 pages, if that. At this point in the story, when Frankenstein creates his monster, he is obsessed with natural philosophy, and he is obsessed with the bringing of life. Not the meaning of life, but how to give inanimate things, I should say, how to make them animated, how to give them life. What is the separation between a dead thing and a living thing? And that's what our boy Frankenstein is obsessed with. And eventually he does it. Eventually he creates life. And that scene where he goes from like this entire setup up to this point in the book has been this man in college, studying, going to classes, learning about natural philosophy, and then boom, he discovers how to bring something to life. This is like a 2-year process. And then the process of him bringing this monster to life and then immediately regretting it happens over maybe 50 words, if that. Like in Hollywood and in the media that we've been given of Frankenstein, the whole bringing to life thing is such a dramatic part of the story. It's the part of the story, the whole like, I'm alive thing. But in reality, you have Frankenstein creating this like absolute monster of a man, right? Like 8 feet tall, gigantic proportions, just a big monster human, whatever you want to call them. And then immediately he's like, I regret every decision I've ever made that has led me up to this point. I'm gonna change who I am. And then leaves. And I don't know about y'all, but I've never been like too interested or knowledgeable on the Frankenstein story besides the whole I'm alive moment. So kind of going through everything that Mary Shelley is writing about what Dr. Frankenstein did, I was gonna say before, during, and after the creation of his monster, but there really is no during. Like I said, it happens like from one page to another. The monster is created. The thing that he's been trying to do for 2 years up to this point is done. And it's very similar to, what am I thinking of? Crime and Punishment with Raskolnikov, where he's like been building up to do this thing that's very dramatic thing, and he does it. And then the entire rest of the book is him dealing with the consequences of what he did, of the decision that he made. And right now on page 113, like, I'm skipping around a lot. I'm not delving too deep into the story. If you're interested in Frankenstein, I highly recommend it. Like, it is a very good book, a very classic, creepy novel. It's not too long. It's free. You can find it online everywhere. Like, if you're even thinking about reading Frankenstein, read it. Water break. But even while he's still studying, even eventually he leaves his family to go to university. When he comes back to spend time with his family and deal with a whole bunch of situations over there, he is still dealing with the consequences of the monster that he created months ago. Oh, before I forget, I highlighted, or I notated an entire page or an entire paragraph that I really enjoyed. Look at this. Lighting. Whole page. This whole page is a banger. This is like my 4th time trying to record this entire thing. I got this right here, right now. This is a paragraph that I highlighted. These thoughts supported my spirits while I pursued my undertaking with unremitting ardor. My cheek had grown pale with study, and my person had become emaciated with confinement. Sometimes on the very brink of certainty I failed, yet I still clung to the hope which the next day or the next hour might realize. One secret which I alone possessed was the hope to which I had dedicated myself, while with unrelaxed and breathless eagerness I pursued nature to her hiding places. Who shall conceive the horrors of my secret toll as I dabbled among the unhallowed damps of the grave, or tortured the living animal to animate the lifeless clay? My limbs now tremble and my eyes swim with the remembrance, but then a restless and almost frantic impulse urged me forward. I seem to have lost all soul or sensation but for this one pursuit. Mary Shelley knows how to write a banger, bro. And like, and I didn't even read the entire thing. Like, there's other stuff that I have highlighted. I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but I have been highlighting the hell out of this book, and I'm very glad that I grabbed the physical copy of this. All right, I could keep talking about it for hours if I don't stop myself, and I haven't even gotten to the halfway point of this book yet. So I will catch up with y'all either towards the end or when we reach the end of this book. See you soon. All right, y'all, so I apologize for the weird angle, and why does it look like my boy Michael B. Jordan has a grudge against me, but I have finished Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and I can officially take my bookmark out of it. As much as I like reading and as much as I like making these YouTube videos, I do struggle to record myself reading, as weird as that sounds. So while the last time I saw you was, I think, around page 113, I read from 113 all the way to 265, and I did not record myself doing that. So I apologize for that from a YouTube video maker perspective. But from a reader's perspective, the reason I didn't record so much was because I loved this book so much. I think at the end of the day, Frankenstein is a story of ambition and regret and fear and honestly loneliness. Every character in this story is lonely as hell. And I gotta come back to this because it's honestly my favorite part of the book. The frame narrative of the book starting out as Robert Walton sending letters to his sister, and then the book ending in letters to his sister again, I think is like great storytelling, and I wish we saw more of. I love a frame story. I think I mentioned it earlier in the video that Tarzan is sort of like this, and I wish we saw more of that in literature. Like, I love this story within a story. And as much as I highlighted this book, I think one of my favorite paragraphs is on one of the last pages, the second to last page, 264, telling Robert Walton that his mission is finished. He has seen the death of his creator, and now he is choosing the life purpose that this monster, this being, this creature, whatever you want to call them, has given themselves after Victor Frankenstein gave them life without like any idea of what might happen or any of the consequences, and not caring for this creature after giving them life. This creature has given their life meaning. And this very long paragraph, I'm not going to read all of it, but it's on the second to last page. He says, quote, Fear not that I shall be the instrument of future mischief. My work is nearly complete. Neither yours nor any man's death is needed to consummate the series of my being and accomplish that which must be done, but it requires my own. Do not think I shall be slow to perform this sacrifice. I shall quit your vessel on the ice raft which brought me thither, and shall seek the most northern extremity of the globe. I shall collect my funeral pile and consume to ashes this miserable frame, that its remains may afford no light to any curious and unhallowed wretch, which should create another such as I have been. I shall die. I shall no longer feel the agonies which now consume me, or be prey of feelings unsatisfied yet unquenched. He is dead who called me into being, and when I shall be no more, then the very remembrance of us both will speedily vanish. God, Mary Shelley knows how to write a book. And of course, with the narrative comes Mary Shelley's writing. And like, I'm so interested in reading her other works after reading Frankenstein, because it says on like the little biography here that although its subject matter was extremely dark, her first novel, Frankenstein, was an instant sensation, as a good go-off queen. Subsequent works such as Matilda, Valperga, and The Last Man were less successful, but are now receiving the critical acclaim that they deserve. And if any of those 3 books are anything similar to Frankenstein, I'm gonna love them too. And as simple as it may sound, one of the things that I think Mary Shelley does so well in this book is whenever characters are going on these like long, educated rants, for lack of a better word, they sound like different people, right? I feel like a lot of authors will have a voice throughout their book, and every character seemingly seems to have like a similar voice, if that makes sense. So when Frankenstein's monster being creature is talking, when Frankenstein himself is talking, when Robert Walton is writing these letters to his sister, each character feels like a different person, and they express their feelings and their thoughts in different ways. And I think that's something that can get kind of lost in like, maybe less experienced isn't the right word, but just like in worse authors, which is somehow a worse word, you don't really get that. And I think what you get with Mary Shelley's writing is these really in-depth, incredibly intelligent characters. And even if they're not incredibly intelligent, they still feel like different characters talking instead of the same voice in different bodies. But I'm very happy I read this. I'm very happy I picked this up for $12.99. That's not even that bad for a copy of Frankenstein with this dope cover, and you can get it for free, so I'm not complaining. Also, before I forget, I really enjoyed the conversations on loneliness and how multiple characters in this book feel like they need loving friends or partners or family in their life in order to like get to the truest and realist extent of what living a good life is. You see that from Robert Walton not having a friend on his ship until he meets this mysterious person that turns out to be Victor Frankenstein. You see it from Frankenstein when he is in this new university, in this new town, and doesn't have a lot of friends, a lot of people that he can connect with as he's sort of playing God and imbuing creatures with life. And then you also see it with this creature that Frankenstein creates and gives life. And the creature says like, hey, you've given me this life, and yet you've given me, because of the way I look, because of the way I talk and act, you've not given me anybody that I can live this life with. And I think like those conversations on loneliness, on having people, whether you are an 8-foot tall behemoth that has been given life by like an overly ambitious man, or whether you're just a regular person in this book, like the need for friendship and closeness and any sort of relationship. But with that said, we're going to end the video here. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like down below. That lets me know, obviously, that you liked it. If there are specific things you liked or specific conversations you want to have, leave a comment down below. And actually, what I would want y'all to comment are other books or even other media that is a story within a story. So similar to Frankenstein, similar to Tarzan of the Apes, like give me other novels that are stories within stories, because I realize I love that storytelling. I feel like I'm hitting my stride making these videos, reading all these dope books, editing and all of that. I feel like I'm really hitting my stride there. So as I'm nearing up to my 1-year anniversary of making YouTube videos, I'm very excited that that is also coinciding with a bunch of really dope videos dropping back to back to back. So if anything at all that I've said so far interests you, or you want to see the videos that I got coming up next, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can be updated whenever I upload a video. Make sure you do something that makes you happy. Make sure you do something that makes you some money. For me, reading this book made me happy, and I hope you can find a book that makes you feel the same. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.